Hi, I'm Agent Ford. Do you think you can help me solve another true crime mystery? Thanks to social media, it is now easier than ever to meet friendly and like-minded people. No matter how alone you might feel, odds are that someone on the internet can relate to you and maybe even offer a kind word. Unfortunately, not everyone on the internet is exactly who they claim to be. Today's case is one of the most shocking criminal cases to come from the land of the rising sun. Japan's Twitter killer. Takahiro Sharashi was born on October 27, 1990 in Zima, a city in Japan's Kaniwaga prefecture. By all accounts, he lived a pretty ordinary and unassuming life for the most part. At school, he wasn't the most popular student, nor did he earn impressive grades. Still, his classmates all seemed to remember him as a quiet and diligent boy who always showed up to class. He did have one memorable quirk, though. He liked to partake in choking games with a few of his friends. By the time he entered high school, things at home had started to fall apart. His parents got divorced, and his mother and sister moved out, leaving Takahiro with his dad. Though Takahiro managed to graduate from high school, his ambitions seemed to have been running out of steam. For the next couple of years, he just kind of drifted through life, hopping from one odd job to the other. Takahiro did it all, from working at fast food factory to a pachinko parlor, until he ended up taking a job that was a bit more unconventional. He became a scout for a prostitution ring in Kabukicho, Tokyo's biggest red light district. He was the one tasked with finding women who he would later lure into clubs and brothels. And if that wasn't bad enough already, it turned out that this former underachiever was pretty good at his job. When he was active in Kabukicho, he was described as an ambitious, dangerous man who was capable of betrayal. At the time, the women who knew him never missed the chance of talking about his strange obsession with death, or how he would often brag about the suicidal maid he helped kill, and even offering to commit suicide together to one of his friends. These same women also referred to him as mild-mannered and more gentle than the average person. It was this gentleness he took advantage of when he started going down an even darker path. In February of 2017, he was arrested under suspicion of having violated the Employment Security Act for knowingly luring women into prostitution. A few months later, he was given a 14-month prison sentence with 3 years suspended. However, he was allowed to return to Lima with his father as long as he'd stay out of trouble. This was probably the worst decision the courts could have reached, and you'll soon see why. After moving back in with his father, Takahiro began frequently posting on Twitter under 5 different usernames. On one of his first accounts, he presented himself as depressed and searching the web for sympathetic people. He would tweet things such as, "I want to die," and "It's hard not to hang oneself," and unsurprisingly, these ended up getting him quite a bit of attention. But it's another one of his accounts that would soon become infamous. Around this time, he asked his father to help him secure an apartment, as his legal issues meant he couldn't get one on his own. He told him that he had recently met the love of his life online and wanted to live with her as soon as possible. The young lady in question was a 21-year-old he had met on Twitter who shared that she had suicidal feelings after her best friend took her own life. He quickly developed a relationship and even convinced her to loan him a pretty large amount of money for their new apartment. They met in person for the first time on August 13, 2017, and finalized the paperwork for their new home on the 17th of the same month. But on August 22nd, move-in day, Takahiro was shocked when his new love showed up, accompanied by another man. As you can probably guess, the two knew things weren't going to work out between them, and the woman asked for her money back. Instead of paying her back like any decent person would, Takahiro decided to attack her from behind and kill her. Shockingly, this was only the beginning. The following month, Takahiro created yet another Twitter account using the username @HangingPro. Here, he began reaching out to other Twitter users, mainly young women, who posted about experiencing depression and suicidal thoughts. He would send messages directly to them, offering to help these women die, sometimes even offering to kill himself along with them so that they wouldn't have to die alone. After gaining their trust, Takahiro would try to convince the women not to tell their friends and families about their depression and suicidal thoughts, effectively cutting them off from the possibility of getting real help. Takahiro proved to be a master manipulator yet again. By presenting himself as vulnerable and understanding, he earned the trust of several women and girls, the youngest of whom was just 15 years old. Takahiro would convince them to meet up with him in person at his apartment. He would give them alcohol and drugs to calm them, while he robbed them of their stuff. None of these women were ever seen again. In October 2017, a 23-year-old woman from Hachioji, Tokyo, named Akio Tamura, suddenly disappeared. This alarmed her brother, as he knew that she had been suffering from severe mental health problems since their mother passed away that June. The brother decided to look through her social media for any clues as to where she could have gone, and soon found a couple of highly worrying posts on her Twitter account. She had been searching for someone to end her life with. Aikyo's brother managed to log into her Twitter account and found direct messages from the @HangingPro account. Instantly, he knew this person had something to do with his sister's disappearance. But how was he supposed to track down the person behind the anonymous account in time to save Akio? Luckily for him, he managed to contact a former associate of Takahiro via Twitter, and she gave him the address of Takahiro's apartment. Akio's brother and the police showed up at Takahiro's door to ask about her whereabouts. Takahiro gave them an odd and chilling response. "She's in here," said Takahiro. He was the only person inside. But then, he pointed to one of many coolers on the floor. Inside, they found pieces of Akio's dismembered corpse. As they searched for her missing body parts, the gruesome discovery only got worse. Akio was not the only victim. There were several bodies, all chopped up. Police ended up finding severed heads in the other coolers, toolboxes, and even buried beneath cat litter to hide the smell of decay. All in all, the police discovered the remains of 9 people. 8 of them were women he had sexually assaulted and robbed. The one outlier was the male associate who had shown up on moving day with Takahiro's once girlfriend. He had come searching for the 21-year-old after not having heard from her since August. Takahiro was quickly arrested and confessed to having murdered the 9 within the span of 3 months. During the trial, many people questioned how he could have possibly gotten away with posting such concerned content online, prompting discussions about Twitter's moderation, as well as Japan's abnormally high rate of suicides. Takahiro's defense argued that the killings were consensual and that the messages shared between him and his victims proved that. It's a good thing that the courts didn't buy this excuse, as there was evidence of the victims having resisted as Takahiro strangled them to death. Not to mention the whole drugging, robbing, and assaulting part. Eventually, Takahiro went against his legal team's advice and straight up admitted that his crimes were financially and sexually motivated. "I thought I could get money without working while satisfying my sexual desires. It was a very comfortable and pleasurable life," he later explained. "I failed because I was caught. I have no other feelings." In December of 2020, Takahiro, now 30, was officially sentenced to death. He has since said that he does not plan to appeal the court's decision. Interestingly, In Japan, where executions are carried about by hangings, inmates who receive the death penalty are not given a date for when they will die. Instead, they are only told the day of. Takahiro very well may be spending the rest of his life wondering if every morning will be his last, though it appears that he intends to make the most of his time behind bars.
I want to use the time I have left to find a girl,
he has said.
I want to look for someone who will marry me while I am in prison. Several people have come in the last 2 years, but nothing has led to marriage.
We can only wonder how he hopes that will work out for him. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with your fellow investigators. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a case. With that being said, stay safe, and I'll see you guys at the next crime scene.